Okay, what I'm doing is with the stabilization kit which I'm going to produce, I have seen several different types. One of them, if we look up here, has got like a U-bolt hanging out, then there's a bar comes out to about there, and then there's an addition which bolts onto there, then there's a big 1-inch bar which goes down to the bottom section. That's one type. And then we've got another type which we come around here, and I've already pre-drilled some of my section here. See there? Well, there's another type which has got a right angle bracket coming down, and then you've got a bar which is a bit hard hit which comes down to here, sort of thing, right down the bottom. And then there's and then it's got like a round bracket around here which actually sits over the top of the rack here. That sits over there, and it sort of bolts together. Then you've got an arm which comes out the bottom. Well, I'm actually making the last type with the bracket around there, and I'll have a bar and everything coming down through there. Okay, we've got some 25mm steel plate here. Now what I've done is just roughly drawn this out. Now what I've done is this is going to be cut in half, because what I'm going to do is mill a 115mm ID, and that's your central point there. You can just barely see the mark there for your circle, so that's 115mm side to side or diameter ID. And then on one side I have to allow for the rack, so on this side I've allowed 12, probably 13mm recess I'll do after this plate is cut in half. Now on this side I've allowed an extra probably about 30 to 40mm, because I'll be welding a plate here which will be going straight out. So at this time, these are just rough measurements or approximate. The circle is the correct measurement. So I'll be cutting that part there in half first, and then I'm not going to, that will be trimmed off. That will be trimmed, but I don't know what I'm going to do it to until I'm ready to assemble it. 10mm hole will go through one side, the other side will have a 10 by 1.5mm pitch in there, so it's a thread. So I'll either bolt it this way or that way, possibly bolt it this way, because I'm going to weld a plate on that side. Yeah, so once that's cut, that'll be cut, I'll put both pieces on top of each other, I'll give them a tack weld, and then I'll put it into the machine, and I'm going to cut both of them with the same circle at the same time. Alright, at the moment we've got the bandsaw going. As you can see, I've got the material in there bolted up, and from that point to there is approximately 90mm. So what I'll do, and I've got a bit of fluid cutting oil, whatever, coming down. As you can see, it's coming down now. I don't want to go too fast, of course they're going over there. Anyway, what I'll do is once that's cut off, as I said, then I'll move the plate over to the other half of it. Right, this is the plate that's just been cut off. It's only just finished. As you can see, it's quite a nice cut there, and I was just checked it with the square. It is well, it's on right angles, it's square, so that's good. I won't have to machine too much off that. I'll just put something across just to check it, but that's the actual cut there, so that's worked out quite well. So all we do, just move the plate over, cut the other part off, and we're getting there step by step, inch by inch or millimetre by millimetre. You know the story. Right, we've got the second section of plate in, as you can see. That is the inside, that'll be the outside next to there. We've still got the fluid going through, so that's my other piece down there, the first piece. And then, yeah, we'll bring it back when it's cut off or whatever. And that's the second piece done. You can see it's a beautiful cut on there. I haven't measured it yet, but that should be square, same as what the other one is. Yep, and so I've still got a piece left over in case I need more bar. Right, we've got the bracket here which is going to go around the the round column, of course. Now it's a bit hard to see. I'll see if I can zoom in. There you go. You can see the actual markings I've got. You can see how I've got two little lead-ins coming out that way, and it's like an inner and outer circle sort of thing. Same as on this side, I've got a couple of things coming out here as well. So what we need to do is take off the excess. I'll just zoom out a fraction if I can. There we go. I'd need to take a heap off on the outside there, off the bottom, and so it's actually going to be two sections. So you've got a half circle and a bar coming out that side and that side. That'll be off, so we're actually left with a piece here. The inner part here, that part there, that's allowable for a groove there, and that'll be going back onto, so that, as you can see, that will be cut out there, and that will fit into that section. All right, we're going to try and separate that. Oh wow, look at that. Whoa, there you go. That's two little pieces. I've already done that. That's going to be terrific. Now all we have to do is machine it and get it fitted. We've roughly machined these out, cut them out. There's a bit of plasma cutting, a bit of oxy cutting, there's a bit of everything. Now what's going to happen is you've got your two halves here, as you can see. I'm going to put them into the milling machine like that. I'll face that end and I'll face this end up here. Then I'll put them together, and then I'll drill a hole through one and I'll thread the other one, so they will be bolted. Once they're bolted together, they'll, if I can hold them up, they'll look similar to that. And then what I'll do is then I'll start machining the hole properly to correct size and everything else that I need for it to make it fit onto the column. So it's another part done. As you can see, I have done a lot of it off camera because you don't want me to see me cutting and grinding for the next 3 hours sort of thing. All right, we'll catch you back on the milling machine. What I'm going to do now is mill them, so that'll be, as soon as those two faces here, they'll be equal, then I'll join them together, then I can put a bolt through them, and once they're together, so then you've got the top half there, then I don't know whether I'll be finishing this off in the lathe or whether I'll do it on the machine here with a borer, and yeah, then we'll see how it goes from there. give it a very light touch. Let's see how it goes. Alright, what we've done here is we've marked out the holes. I'm going to drill just a pilot hole going straight through there and through there, and this way we know exactly where the bolt's going. So I've just marked a small shadow part there where that part goes in. So we need to drill it together first. Well, drill a hole first, one there, one here. Then we'll take that off and I'll thread the bottom too. And then I'll put the top back in. Check to see if it's screwed. And what I'll do now, as you see, I couldn't find decent multi-grips and vice grips around, so I've only had to use what I've been able to. That's only just a hole, but anyway, it's not dangerous or anything like that, so it's stabilised. So what I'll be doing now is I'll be drilling that to the correct size, and I'll drill this one to the correct size ready for the thread. I'll thread the two bottoms, and then this one here will be drilled to 10mm. Alright, we've got a 8.5mm drill bit in there, which will give us a 10mm thread. That's only going through on a 10 by 1.5mm taper, so it's a pretty hard sort of steel. I'm not sure, I think it's 4140. Just going to put the I'm not going to put the intermediate one, I'll just put the actual final tapping, plug tap if you want to call it that. Whoops. Anyway, that'll do. Now I'll do this one off camera, and then I'll go back and do the other half of it. Alright, we've got the unit in the machine, as you can see at the moment. Now what's going to happen is I'll need to bore this out to suit the column over here, and so that's what we're attempting to do at the moment. Right, we've got the boring bar jig set up. We've got about 0.3 of a micron or 30 microns, whatever it is, a few thou. Anyway, I don't want to go too much because I've got it held here and here, that's not a problem, and it's all virtually on there, so it should be okay. And I can only do it manually, so I can only just take so much out of it. Alright, what we're doing now is we've got the half round plate. That's a half round plate there which goes onto the round column, and I don't know if you can see it, but where the on that left hand side where you've got the actual rack, what we're going to do, we're going to cut out a piece out of there. I just do a bit at a time as we're going along. about a mil off their time or thereabouts. It's always that last area where you have to be very careful and just take as small amount as possible off so you don't go too far. And if I did go too far, I'd just have to face a bit off that side to sort of take the gap, you know, the extra gap out of it. That's my 11mm clearance. Now what I'll do is I'll take it off here and I'll put it back up here and we'll see how it fits. Alright, for those who might be contemplating on making a bracket for a round column mill, you're starting off with a piece of plate like this. This one is actually being welded up and it's actually two pieces, as you can see there. And then what you have to do is, that one's about close on 25mm thick. Whoops. But anyway, so what happens is, you have to make your drawings. As you can see, you've got drawings on here. Well, yeah, there you go. You've got drawings and stuff like that, and that is just a rough item so you can cut out and have some sort of bracket there. Once you've cut it out, then you have to make a template, which you can use cardboard, virtually anything, but make sure that you've lined up one set of corners so you don't flip it around backwards and forwards, because you can only work it one way. So what happens is, then you can, once you initially cut all this sort of thing out, then you've got your template and you have to mark out, that's where your rack goes and everything else, and painstakingly, after you cut the center out and everything else, then as you've just seen, I've milled out these corners here, so that actually goes around. That will be, if I can get it around, that is actually there, and that fits onto the rack part. That bolts on, and that bolts onto there. Then that part there actually locks onto the actual column itself, which I'll show shortly. And then it's up to you. You can either have an arm or something coming up vertically from here, going straight up to the top, where you might have a U-bolt or something like that with a 1-inch bar welded in here somewhere, whatever you want to do. Or you can have another bracket on this side with a movable arm which will go up and down. This will stay stationary, but you'll have to have some sort of bush, whether it's whatever bush, nylon or whatever, sitting in there, and that will actually stabilize it. So anyway, I'll bolt it up and I'll show you. Now, as you can see, I've split the two halves like so. Now what will happen is you have to go around the back here. Now that will fit on that, over that rack here, like there. This one will go in the front, like so. We'll put a bolt in here. Now, you've got just a fraction movement, so what you do, you can lock that up because it's still pulling itself in, so you'll have that bit of movement. But what happens is you've just got enough clearance for the rack to fit inside that groove. But the tolerances themselves are pretty good, so all you have to do is snip it up when you're checking it out. So I haven't even tightened it up very tight, and that's snug. That will not move at all. If you want to tension up to 30, 40 or 60 foot-pound, or if you want to go to a metric equivalent, you can, there's no problem. But as you can see, that is solid as. That's not going to move anywhere, up or down.